Ooh. Interesting. That looks like... Oh! It's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. Indeed it would appear so, though only a prototype naturally. Ah, so you got it, eh? Gina, well done for finding this place. And in such little time, you've really worked miracles. It's Toby who's the miracle worker. I thought you lot would show up ever so long. Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. He looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips. So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer? Sadly not. We didn't find a soul there. Oh, what a shame. Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us the chance to investigate. According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue that you lot turned up. I wouldn't want to say go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I? Thank you. Anyway, if you're helping to snoop around in here, I'd get cracking. Lord Van Zeeks and the forensic investigation team are on their way here as we speak. Them again? I imagine you've got the picture by now. I don't take too cool to the lawyer types. Right. So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance. And you, Sholmes. Pardon? They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers. Very droll, Gregson, very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model. Right then, let's see what we can find in here. Ah, this appears to be most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say? It's an impressive looking back massager, that's for sure. I no doubt that if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away. It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor. Would you like a massage? No, I'm fine, thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing. I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there is much more to this Mr. Enoch Drebber than conjuring tricks. I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Mr. Naruhodo? Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course. He's not gonna let that go, is he? It is curious, though, isn't it? You would expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times. Is there gonna be blood on it, too? This piece of glass is almost as thick as it is wide. Yes, I've never seen anything like it. If you were to compare it to a human, only Mr. Sholmes would have such thick skin. There's really no need for such a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know. Anyway, it can only be from the Crystal Tower, surely. Yes, I think so too. It was probably made especially to meet the demands of that great structure. Alright. So there can be no doubt about that. There's a little metal plank here, look. Fostering burgeoning talent for the future of scientific discovery. It seems rather ironic, doesn't it? But clearly Mr. Dreber really was a very talented scientist. Can you open the top? Maybe there's something inside? Nope. Okay. I'll continue investigating, I guess. What on earth is this? An aeroplane, Mr. Naruhodo. One day, scientists believe it will allow humans to fly freely in the skies. Is that how the trick will be described, is it? Sorry? Well, it's actually suspended by a thin, very strong cable, isn't it? Oh, well, this model is... Yes, but a real aeroplane would actually fly high in the sky. While suspended from somewhere even higher in the sky, of course. Because large metal objects obviously can't really stay in mid-air unsupported. So to you, the solution is ever taller towers? Well, I mean, you know, if you want to fly, you can't do it by yourself. You gotta have some suspension or, you know, something to latch onto so you can fly. But flying by yourself, come on. I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, that machine is covered by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. There would be serious repercussions if you were to examine it, from the Crown and the government. Oh, yes, oh, what's this? Oh, wow, what's... Oh, blimey, it's good stuff, this is. Well, those two don't seem to be holding back. It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow. No loose change dropped on the floor or nothing. Not even a bone for Toby here, my dear fella. British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they? I think that's just these two, Mr. Sato. Alright. This is... It's a European-style quiver of arrows, with steel bolts inside. Oh, do you suppose... Crossbow bows, these. Just the right size for the bow you lot turned up at the exhibition grounds. In other words... Yeah, that's more evidence to support your theory. It all goes to show that Dreber was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scheme. Huh. Isn't that interesting? This door doesn't want to open. Yeah, looks like it's got a pretty hefty lock on it. There's a specialist locksmith on his way over from the yard, so hands over till you get here. With permission, Inspector, I could have that lock open in less than a minute. Well, you don't have permission, and no one's giving it to you. Grex looked as though he really enjoyed that. Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side. No, Dreber must have fled at the first sign of danger. Oh, is something wrong, Mr. Sato? Well, I thought I heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too? Yeah, I heard it, no. What you reckon, Toby? Right, mind the grace. Whoever's in there, open up. This is Scotland Yard. Oh my, someone is in there. This rotten bleeding lock. My dear Gregson, as I said only minutes ago, if only it were countenanced, I could unlock that door in less than a minute. Fine, I'll take a rap for it. Just get us through that blasted door. There, you may enter at will. You've confused minutes with seconds, I think. Time is of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for? Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency. There's a strong possibility that beyond that door is the engineer you all seek. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow. Yes. I want to shoot him with his own crossbow. Oh. What's happening here? Why is everything upside down? Rats! There ain't no one in here after all. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises. Maybe that was the sound of Dreber running away. But there's only one door in this room. and no windows that could afford an escape route. Those skylights are too high. What's that up there? Are they footprints? On the ceiling? Blimey, what have you here then? Looks like someone's trying to burn something in a hurry. Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints. To what? To that Professor Airbrain's bombing machine, is it? Blimey, if without these, there would be no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal. There is something of great interest here, too. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar. A rope? What's significant about that? Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo. We must investigate the entire room thoroughly, and before the forensic investigation team arrive too. Alright, so he probably used the rope to climb on the roof and escape from there? Alright, we're back, and we seem to be in the personal office of Mr. Enoch Drebber, what was his name? Enoch Drebber, yeah. Who is not only responsible for the malfunction of he's responsible for building the scam machine, but he's also the one who reportedly saw the resurrection of the professor who killed 5 people. One of them is Barak Van Ziek's older brother. So, there we go. That's a very large safe. I don't suppose even Mr. Sholmes could open that lock. Although, if you were a thief, you could just steal the entire thing, I suppose. It is bolted to the floor to prevent exactly that sort of underhand trick, Mr. Naruhodo. Well then, you could just steal the floor as well, I suppose. I am sorry, but you really aren't making any sense at all. Anyway, I think we can agree that whatever is inside must be very important. Yeah, no doubt about that. Mr. Sholmes, have you found something? Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, in point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. It looks like a bundle of thick cigars wrapped up in a... Ah! Mrs. Sato? What's the matter? That is a... Surely that is a time bomb, isn't it? Whoa! Did you say a time bomb? Sorry, but what is a time bomb exactly? Eh? You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I won't take that as a compliment. Heh, you don't know nothing, do you, Odo? You haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruhodo. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance. Oh, well, thank goodness. But then, what is it? It is a bundle of dynamite. I see. So that's it. Goodness, Mr. Sholmes. Have you seen to the heart of the matter? There are times when I consider my lot most unfair, for I am fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Mr. Sato. Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming. Once again, I can draw 2 conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Dreber himself. Oh, but how could you... And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is without question completely genuine. Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything. it would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. Well, Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway. You deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done. You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Mr. Sato. Oh, yes, I'd be delighted. So, shall we begin? Once again, Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Here we go. Flipped furniture. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table, and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that... Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. For the gravity in this room was reversed, and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness! The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. I quite understand your skepticism, Mr. Sato. I, too, was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device, almost identical to one that featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact. But then why does it have a clock on it? A most relevant question indeed. That is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. There was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically, and the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment that restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. So you see, we need look no further to explain the state in which we now find this room. The direction in which gravity acts in here was reversed by Mr. Dreber, before being restored to normality in an automatic fashion sometime later by the timer device. I have witnessed precisely this scene in a dream I once had when I fell out of bed. Oh. I don't think that's substantial evidence, but... Alright, topic 2. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes. How is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Of course, Jabbas Aim was singular, to escape. However, there is but one way into this room, excepting the skylight, that is. By inverting the gravity in here, Dreber was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way. But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Dreber have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently? Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape through the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? By anchoring one end to the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. Which explains how Dreber was able to escape this room before our arrival. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight. And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' Great Deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. She's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there is just one thing that troubles me. I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. Yeah, the thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean? I would say that with man's current scientific knowledge at the turn of the 20th century, it is no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. But your whole deduction hinges on it. Ah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth, however improbable it may seem. It is a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with the exact phrasing. My original was, clumsy. Yeah, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Mrs. Sauter lent me once. Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. The spell's broken at last. The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it? Indeed it was, in lonely coils near the wall. But if Mr. Drebber had used it to escape in the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall? Mystery is inevitably unraveled in the end, as I think you'll find do ropes. And as evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery we face in this room, now skillfully unraveled. That argument is as circular as the coils of rope. I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual little helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the Great Detective's Great Deduction will lead us to the truth. Yeah, you're right. And we must do it quickly, before Enoch Drebber gets too far away. If you are ready, then let us resume. Sherlock Holmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Hold him, Mr. Sholmes. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table, the chairs, and the lamp. Everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling? Are you suggesting that... Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. For the gravity in this room was reversed, and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness! The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. To think gravity could have been reversed in this very room, I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation. But the man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so... Yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea at once. Oh, that's unusually merciless of you, Mr. Sauter. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he? While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices. Yes, I suppose so. Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely reveals some proof that shows exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing. Alright. Whew. Alright, let's see what we got here. Oh, look, Mr. Sato. When everything seems to be upside down in here, this safe is conspicuously the right way up. What? Oh. Oh, God. Okay. Alright. Whoa. Okay. Easy. Easy. Easy, everyone. Calm down. Okay. Slight malfunction there. Sorry about that. Okay. This safe is conspicuously the right way up. Have you noticed? Yes, that is true. But look more closely at the safe's feet. Ah, that's a lot of very large bolts fixing it to the floor. Think before you speak. That's what you wanted to say, isn't it? I really put my foot in my mouth there. I certainly didn't say that. All the furniture in here is very conspicuously upside down, certainly. Yeah, it does immediately put you in mind of some strange quirk of gravity, I admit. Could it be that a mini whirlwind passed through here, do you think? I'm not sure that's much more plausible than Mr. Sholmes' explanation. Oh dear, saying the first thing that comes into your head isn't the way forward here, it seems. Yeah. Welcome to my world. Well, what else could it be, then? Well, I wasn't expected to find a pretty bunch of flowers in here, that's for sure. Look at that. I know, that slender little vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Somehow it makes you think of the fragility of life, wouldn't you say? To be honest, Mr. Naruhodo, something else about it made a rather deeper impression on me.
Take that!
There we go. The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps? No one is trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes. Trust me. As you rightly say, though it appears at first glance that all the furniture in the room is upside down, this unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there is nothing affixing it to the floor. And it's the exception that breaks the rule. In short, much as it pains me, the gravity in this room was never invented at all. My deepest sympathies for your loss. Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes. But the show must go on. So, let us continue with our deductions. Now that we know this contrivance is not in fact an anti-gravity device, there remains but one other possibility. You don't say. Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here. Which might sound obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite, and naturally, there is an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, isn't he? I'm afraid that the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong. Well, there's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned all this furniture over. So whoever it was must have had a reason. I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though. Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. I think I know what it is, but let's examine the other things first. We've already established that gravity wasn't actually reversed in here, haven't we? In other words, this isn't an anti-gravity device at all. Which makes me very curious to know what sort of device it is. But I think for now it's clear that we're looking at an answer. But I think for now it is clear that we're looking for an answer elsewhere. Okay, yeah, sure. That's a coal burning heater, I think, isn't it? Yes, it is, but it's not just for heating, you know. You can grill on it, bake in it, boil and steam things with it. It serves all sort of purposes. It seems like having your cake and eating it, too. Not unlike a heated kotatsu table with a nabe hotspot. Not unlike a heated kotatsu table with a nabe hot pot, a Mikan orange, and a cat and an elderly relative. Fuck. Oh, you mean it seems too much? I suppose perhaps it does. But you realize only some of those things on your list are edible, don't you? Anything is edible if you have the right determination. There we go. Look, there's something written on the underside of this armchair. Oh yes, safe 432582. Safe, as in safe and secure, as in secure lockable box, I think. Admittedly, more likely. Well, there is a large safe bolted to the floor on the other side of the room, so yes. So you mean this number would let us open it? I wonder why it's written here, though.
Take that!
The reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination. Precisely. I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not? Yeah, last year. When I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book, just in case. That's it. For people are forgetful souls at heart, and always make a written note of important information. Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think. And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Naruhodo? When the day of the draw came round, I'd forgotten which book I'd written the number in, and had to turn my room upside down to find it. That's it. For people are forgetful souls at heart, and always forget where they've noted things down. Not if you always note things down. Not if you always note things in the same place. I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I'd slipped the ticket into, so thank you, Mr. Naruhodo, but I believe I proved my point now. Which is that a very similar scenario has clearly unfolded in this room. Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination lock. He remembered that he'd written it on the underside of the piece of furniture, but forgot which one, leading to the state in which we now find the room. Yes, Mr. Dreber overturned all the furniture in here in a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe. Whew, alright. That was topic 1. Time for topic 2. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get there? Yeah, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve. I can't think of any other way to explain it at all. Oh, life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago, and those halcyon days never existed in the first place. Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail. Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into those situations in the first place. Alright. This is a gas balloon, isn't it? It's tiny, but it does seem to be a real balloon. Yes, I think you're right. I think it's helium that's keeping it up. A green gas balloon. Why does that seem to ring a bell with me? If you can see, there are footprints on this balloon too. Look. Oh yeah, surely that's a clue, isn't it? Though what it tells us, I'm not sure. Oh, there are footprints on the balloon. And there's a shoe on the balloon. It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look! Oh yes, and there are more footprints on this little balloon too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think? If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up at the ceiling, though? Oh dear, that is beyond me, I'm afraid. So, that's it then? That's the reason? It's because someone was throwing it up there? Huh. I guess it is. Alright. It looks like these are the only windows in the room. In other words, if you wanted to escape without using the door, these skylights would be the only way. Yes, that is true, but even so, and right next to the only escape route, we notice some telltale footprints. Nevertheless, as we've said many times now, gravity cannot explain how they got there. But powerful springs in the soles of a man's shoes could. Have you been having strange dreams as well, like Mr. Sholmes? Alright, fine.
Take that!
There we go. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And on closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. And in other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon. But for what purpose? A green balloon? That seems somewhat familiar data. It was a piece of green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruhodo and Iris found at the scene. And inside the green balloon that Master Gods claims he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole Instantaneous Kinesis deception. You mean to say? If we assume the balloon in here is a model of the one used on that day, there's a strong possibility something may be concealed inside it. Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach, hence why he resorted to a projectile, namely, the shoe. Most probably Dreber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with the shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights. Oh dear, we desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? Mr. Sholmes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope. Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. So we just throw the rope up to the balloon and then pull it down to us on the ground. Which is much easier said than done, I feel. And could take us a very long time as well. True, perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one of those, of course, don't we? We already have one, of course, don't we? Yeah.
Take that!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow? That was found at the scene, in fact, and in all likelihood belongs to Mr. Dreber. If the man had only brought it away with him that day, he could have avoided losing a shoe at such a critical time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon? Ooh. Oh! What the? A waxwork? Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock. So we can't see the face inside, that means. Just a moment. This is the head of a waxwork model? Does that mean... Oh goodness. I see you've joined the dots, Mr. Saho. Excellent. Of course, a headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Two Spells model that you'd largely solved. It was only the head of the killer that was still missing. Indeed it was. But I believe Madame Two Spells will now have to settle her sizable account with me. This, as you have now summarized, is the head of the infamous professor. Yeah. But why is it here? This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Two Spells and returning it sans tete earlier today was none other than Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Hairbrain's case and the waxwork abduction they're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. Interesting. Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. Can we open up the helmet? Sholmes, you know your ways around a lock, right? Can you open that? No? Little peek inside. This lock does look very strong, doesn't it? There's definitely no way you could remove the mask yourself if it was put on you. What a terrible way to treat someone, even a convicted criminal. I know, it's starting to make me livid, actually. Mr. Naruhodo, please. I mean, just think about it. Imagine if you had an itch on your cheek all of a sudden, you'd be utterly helpless. Well, yes, that is true, but I'm not sure that warrants quite so much anger. Oh, right. Sorry. They're still gonna keep the professor's identity a secret. Alright. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure. The architect? You mean Mr. Dreber? As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights, obviously the man must still be here in the room. What? And his location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction. Enoch Drebber is right here, somewhere in this courtroom? So, Mr. Naruhodo, will you do the honors? Yeah, of course. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be the...
Take that!
Oh. Alright, Mr. Dreber. Come out. Oh. Not there, Mr. Naruhodo. But I don't understand. You could always climb inside yourself. Please, don't mind us. Do go ahead. I know how fond you are of wardrobes. I'll think of something else, thank you very much. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be there. Where could Mr. Drebber be hiding? I'm sure that we've already come across a clue that reveals the answer, you know? Yeah, it was when we did that. It was when we deduced why all the furniture in here was upside down, wasn't it? That gave us the answer, I'm sure. We're very close now, Mr. Naruhodo. I can sense it.
Take that!
Seriously? Before we gain access to this back room, we heard noises from in here. Which tells us that the engineer was still in the building at that point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe. And pressed for time, made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned in the process. From which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is at this very moment inside the safe. How? How could he fit inside there? Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide-and-seek, don't you? By opening the safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. The combination was 1432582. I knew that. Alright then, here it goes. 45832. Oh. Well, bugger me.
You found me. You found me.
Is that really a good voice? I don't know.
I am Enoch Drebber.
Sure, why not? Let's go for that.
You found me.
Right, sir. Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume.
Correct.
You'd better start talking. You tricked Professor Hairbrand with that bogus machine you built. And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Two Spells as well.
Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions, personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first.
Deactivate? Your parcel?
I refer, of course, to the time bomb. I left it in a most prominent position. Ha ha ha. I see. Stunned silence. You're all gearing up to die with me then?
No! Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare? That was too close for comfort. I've got one foot in the grave already.
Are you trying to help us get a killer who gets killed?
Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they? Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say.
Anti-gravity devices don't exist.
Whew. I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Dreber, look at this, please. Do you have anything to say about it? Are these strange mechanical movements supposed to be some sort of answer? Morse code? Mr. Dreber, look at this, please. Okay. Mr. Dreber, look at this, please. 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 It might surprise you to learn that I'm actually a lawyer from the Empire of Japan.
I detest lawyers. They wield so-called special powers in an attempt to grant down our freedoms. Yes, let me be quite clear. I detest lawyers very much.
Any chance 2 negatives make a positive? Okay. Mr. Dreber, look at this, please. Okay. Fine. What on earth happened in here?
You found me, haven't you? You don't need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems.
Yeah, well, we'll be good a far going over, don't you worry, Dreber.
What fails to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop. That I was not expecting. Zzz. When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to bolt.
Whistling? Ah, that would have been me. Oh! For some reason, I woke in fine fettle today. No words, just tightly squeezed chips.
Clearly I must have a screw loose though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it down.
We also found a rope over by the wall.
Yes, I had helped to exit through the skylight, but sadly the rope was too short. So I then set about searching for the combination code to open the safe.
And burning the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably, though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe, having first set this parcel ticket.
Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police.
Go death wish, have ya? Horn right beside a ticking time bomb.
Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe, it is specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it.
So in fact, the safe was the only safe place.
Precisely. But once you had climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again. I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be unlocked from within.
So it is.
I'd always intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to come along and screw up my plans.
Do you mean to say you plan to blow us all up?
No, that was unforeseen.
What do you mean?
Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. I calculated the time required for retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But your seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works.
Is something wrong, Gregson? Do I have something on my face besides the usual eyes, ears, and nose and mouth? I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on here now. Well, what about the 2 incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Harebrain's Instantaneous Kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition, and the waxwork model you stole, which this head belongs to.
That is no ordinary head, you know. That is the head of the Professor. Clad in a mask with a lock so strong, I am unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying it around as protection, After
That's enough. What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here?
yeah, well,
Dr. Scythe again? So the forensic investigation team are here. And do you know full well this engineer is a key witness? Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Stronghard knew of this, you'd be finished. You'll leave at once. My dear madam, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, that is no way to greet an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. Scythe? Hello, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Scythe? If it's protecting the machine next door that's causing such a sour expression on your face, you are quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell. You get out! But of course, we'll show ourselves the door. I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? It would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today. But Mr. Sholmes, let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands. I said get out. Now, all of you. Your presence here is not required either, Gregson.
Understood. But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place, and the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb set in here that this lot disarmed.
Inspector. Something giving you a chuckle, has it, Dreber?
So sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did disarm that one.
Eh? What are you... That one? You mean...
K.
It was an hour later that we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage at the Great Exhibition. Professor Harebrain's invention and all its secrets were blown away forever. To be continued.